He's earthquake, he's earthquake, he's earthquake. Yeah. Give him the fucking beam.
Oh, let's go! Okay, initial patch impressions. I know that I made a patch video not too long ago, maybe about an hour, 3 hours, I think, ago. Initial patch impressions. Started playing. Insofar as the Warlock, there was a list of stuff that I have right here that we set up on stream to answer questions about Fire Mastery and Soul Collector and all those other things. So I just really quickly want to go down the list. First and foremost, third-party Fire Mastery. Casting Ignite on your buddy and having your buddy use Ignite to hit someone does not proc Fire Mastery. You can't do that with Ignite on other people. It only works on the wizard as a first-party hit. That's it. The debuff does not get wiped out by Eldritch Shield, and it also, Eldritch Shield will not prevent the debuff from being applied, but it will prevent the damage. Eldritch Shield, if you cast it on yourself and have that buff the dark magic damage, the output, for instance, that does work. If you cast it on yourself and then use Dark Beam, it will do the 40% or so, whatever it is, damage increase from the Eldritch Shield popping. So that does absolutely apply to the beam, and it's done in those like 10th of a tick increments. That being said, Soul Collector with the full ray duration for Dark Beam does not work. It only applies to the very first tick of the beam hitting its target. So that's apparently a thing. And for those of you wondering, Dark Beam is really, really strong now. There is no headshot and there is no limb damage reduction. It just hits for whatever amount of damage it hits for, but it will melt someone. It hits really, really hard.
I like being beamed. Okay, that hurts.
All right. Okay, and last but not least, Fire Mastery, the thrown thing from Fire Mastery on throwables. So, like, if you ignite yourself as a wizard and you use a bottle and throw the bottle, it does apply the Fire Mastery debuff to the area of effect and the bottle hit and all that stuff. All of that counts. So, calculating dark damage for Dark Beam, by the way. The stuff that we theory crafted out was you can get about 35 damage per second off of it, meaning that you will melt someone using it. I did it today a couple of different times on different builds. The name of the game, if you're really trying to push the damage, is use a higher damage magic staff, blue or purple magic staff. You want something that's 9 or plus 10 damage. And the reason why is for the following calculation. Okay, so to see what this looks like on paper, if you're trying to like theory craft out how much damage output you're going to get from the beam, this is a simplified formula, and because we have 100% damage scaling, this is basically what this looks like. We can have a simplified formula here. So the weapon damage, weapon magic damage plus the base spell damage. So if you have a 9 damage magic staff, that's 9 damage plus the base spell damage is 6. That is combined, so that is 15 damage plus 1 times the magic power scaling on your character sheet. So 1.5x, let's say, if you're at 50%, okay? So you have 1.5x this number, so that's an additional 7.5, right? So you have 15 plus 7.5 plus the magic damage on your gear, which can be 11, let's say, with all of the jewelry decked out in plus 2s. So all of that combined would get you to roughly 35. If you then add the talent plus 10% damage talent to dark, that would equal another 3 damage, somewhere around there. So now you're looking at somewhere around like 38 to 39 damage at its absolute peak with a 50% damage scale. If you have something closer to like a 70% damage scale, now you're approaching 40 and 41. But you can see where the damage scaling doesn't play as heavily as you would really like it to. The big and important thing here is using something like a magic staff if you're trying to really melt people with the beam, because a book costs you about 6 DPS, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's over a 7-second period of time. 6 extra damage over 7 seconds is about a third of a typical player's HP pool. So that really comes into play. It really does matter. But in this case, you're topping out somewhere around 40 damage per second times 7 seconds, which by the calculator is 280 hit points. Whether you're a barb or not, that's still going to be very scary to try and rush into. If you're trying to run something on a Warlock that uses and utilizes Dark Beam, what I would suggest is using something, if you're like solo, duo, or whatever, and you have friends that can be careful around it, do Dark Beam and Flame Walker as a combo. Maybe take Torture Mastery, maybe take Vampirism if you're feeling frisky. I personally like both of those talents. That ends up working out really really well in your favor, because if you have a little bit of plus healing on your gear from like a headpiece or a head and a chest combo, something along those lines, you can then dot targets, get your HP up, and then use that healing that you're receiving to counteract the cast costs for things like Eldritch Shield or Dark Beam or Flame Walker, and then you're really doling out the hurt. Because if you can buff yourself and then use Eldritch and then use the Dark Beam as the Dark Beam is being cast and Eldritch pops, the amount of damage output that you start seeing from a 40% increase in the Dark Beam is going to absolutely ruin someone. It's going to be memes. Trust me. Insofar as the rest of it, it seems as though everybody's hitting hard like they should. It seems as though Wizard and its healing debuff is definitely doing some work. I will be looking more into this as this stuff progresses, but I wanted to make sure that I put out a video answering these questions at the very least. I'll try and see if Saint can do some visual aid kind of stuff. And yeah, thanks so much for coming and checking out the videos. I really, really appreciate it, guys. I love y'all. I appreciate your eyeballs. You have no idea. Thank you for all the love in the streams lately. You guys are amazing. I promise you I will see you tomorrow. Thanks so much. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.